Well, hi, friends. It's Kimberly with Mother Me Beautiful. I thought we'd talk a little bit today about the art of the close. When it comes to sales, usually for most people, if you're new in sales or you're feeling a little timid, it's usually because we're afraid of coming across as pushy, right? And that's a great thing, really and truly, because if that's a concern that you have, then that's probably the last thing that you're going to be is pushy. But I want you to consider this. Let's pretend that you and I were dress shopping and we went into a store and we found just the perfect dress. It's beautiful, it fits great, but there was no salesperson there to tell you how you could take it home, how much it cost, what the return policy was, anything like that. That would be a real downer, right? So if we've gone through the steps of sharing the product, sharing the opportunity, whatever it is, and then we come to the end and we just kind of fizzle out, not only do we feel like kind of let down, like we did a lot of work for nothing, but then that person that you shared with very well could want the products or could want to join your team, but you haven't shared with them how they can do that. And you're the one, that's your job. That's our job as salespeople or as people who are building a team or whatever. That's really our job, is to tell them how they can get what they want. And whether or not it's for them, whether or not they want to take it home, doesn't really, that's their business. They're the ones that know that. Our job is to simply share it with them and then help them figure out how they can take that next step. If it's for them, then they really need your guidance. So when you come to the end, let's say you've gone through your presentation and there's a couple of things that we talk about. One is a table close or a group close, and one is an individual close. And both of them, I really like that soft close. That's what I was taught, and I really like that. I like that approach when I'm purchasing from other people as well. So a table close is when, after your presentation, you're addressing the group and you let them know what product packages you have or what opportunity packages you have, what the cost is, and what the next step is for them, how they can take whatever it is, how they can take that home or how they can join your team. What do they need to do next? And I really like using a tool for that. So in our team, we've got a little placemat, and on the one side, it's got a lot of before and after pictures. I love using that during the presentation. And then we come to the end, we simply flip it over, and it shows all the products. And then it has some some packages, starting with the basic for $199.95 US, and then going through, I think the last one is the Supreme. It doesn't have the Ambassador on there, and it doesn't have the individual prices. Now, we do have a price sheet that we use that has all of the individual products, and we have that in a sheet form so that they can circle what they want or highlight it, mark it up, whatever. They can put their credit card information on there, their address, their information, sign, whatever, so that if they have to leave, we at least have the information we need to get them in. It's always best if they've decided, yes, they want the products or they want to join your team, it's always best to sign them up right then on the spot. People are going to be the warmest when they're in front of the product or they're in front of you. So we don't want to let a whole lot of time pass between there. Plus you're there and you're doing it. And it's just the great to have that part done. Don't you agree? Then you don't have to chase them down and, find out that maybe you forgot to ask some information or that you were missing a piece. So our company, Janessa, has made it super duper easy to do that. Now you can do that with your J-Mobile app. You can sign them up right on your phone, super duper easy, or their phone, and walk them through that. And that's also, if they've chosen to join your team, that's their first training, is how to sign up, so that when they share it with somebody else, they know what that step is as well. So you're doing two things at once. So the table close is when we say, if you turn over your sheet and you'll see the different packages, if you've decided that that these are some of the products that you want to have on your shelf, whatever your verbiage is, this is how you get started. It's a very soft close. It's very general. And I love a group close, because if you have a big enough group there, you're going to have some people that are really excited and that are ready to go. And quite likely, they're going to sell everybody else there. They're going to sell somebody else who might be sitting on the fence. So those are usually the people that I want to wrap up with first, because that energy and excitement that they have for starting their business or for starting on the package, whatever package option, that's going to rub off on other people in the room. But once you've gone through that, and these are the product packages that we have, if you've decided that this is something that you want to give a whirl for yourself, either as a business or as a customer, I'm happy to help you get that started today. Let them know where the refreshments are, the bathroom is, and we have about 20 minutes. I'm happy to answer your questions and get you started today. And then you lead with that first person. So it's a really broad general close. And then you're either going to ask for who needs to leave first, or you're going to pick that most excited person. If you see somebody's kind of checking their watch and they got to go, you definitely want to start with them first, right? Because they need to get out of there. But I love starting with the most excited person if I have the opportunity to do that. Now, once you have them individually, there's where a little bit of the art comes in. Keep in mind that all during your presentation, you've been steering the ship. You've been driving the car, so to speak. You've been the one doing all the talking. And now that you have them one-on-one and you're getting ready to find out what they want to go home with or how they want to get started, it's their turn to drive the ship. So there's a few ways that you can make them feel comfortable. And one thing that you don't want to do is to stand over somebody and say, well, what do you want? Right? What you'd like to do is cozy up just like a friend. It's just like a friend. All you're doing is helping them find the information. I like to sit down next to them. You can use your body language to help put them in charge as you sit a little bit lower than they do. And you simply ask the question, what do you think? Do you see yourself as a customer? Do you see yourself as starting a business? How would you like to get started today? And then you look away. When you look away, you're giving them a little bit of privacy so that they can figure out their decision if they haven't already and be able to formulate that or verbalize that to you. And as you scrunch down at or below their level, preferably, you're putting them in the driver's seat, okay? And then your job is to be quiet. Once you've asked that question, how do you want to get started? Or another technique that you can do is if you're focusing on the packages, you can say, how do you see yourself starting? Do you see yourself starting on the Ambassador pack, or is the basic more what you had in mind? Or the Supreme package more what you had in mind? And then be quiet. However you word that question, once you do, then your job is to zip it. There's an expression we have in sales, and it says whoever talks next buys, right? And so we want them to be able to make that decision. You're not pushing a product at all. And that's not our job. Our job isn't to coerce or manipulate or trick. Our job is to share information and then guide them with the next step. And don't be afraid of objections. I love objections. Objections are when they say something like, well, gosh, I don't know, I need to talk it over with my husband. What they very well could be saying is, I don't know, I'm not quite sure, or I don't think I have enough information. And it's difficult. That one's a difficult one because their husband wasn't here. Their husband didn't see the presentation. He doesn't have any of the information, right? And a lot of times, especially women, will use our husband as an excuse so that we can say no without saying no, because women typically have a hard time saying no, right? So I love to give people an option to say no. So what you might say, for example, if somebody hands you that objection, well, I got to talk with my husband first. Then you might say, well, if your husband is like mine and he's supportive of something that you really want to do, on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you see yourself right now if you had your husband's full support? Or you might say something like, well, if your husband was here tonight and he heard the presentation, saw the products, what do you think he would say? You think your husband usually supports you on the decisions you make? Because really and truly, the first decision that person needs to make is whether or not they want to do it, right? Not whether or not their partner wants to do it. Because for most of us, women, I'm talking to in particular, when you want to do something, you find a way to sell it to your husband, right? If there's something that she wants, that's her job to sell it to her husband. But the first objective is to figure out, is this something that she really wants? Or is she looking for a polite way to tell you no? So when you go through those objections, if you're getting a lot of putting you off things. Sometimes just giving people an out can really help them to really either say, no, it's really not for me, but I love your guts anyway. or they'll get to the real matter. Like, I need some more questions about such and so. So for instance, how letting them off the hook might sound is something like, if it's not for you, it's totally fine. But you might know somebody who would be good. And, I've really enjoyed being with you tonight and get to know you a little bit. And I'm sure that people in your circle are quality people like yourself. Who do you know that might be interested in such and so? Let them off the hook. Sounds like it's not for you. That's okay. If you decide later on that it is, I'm happy to help you. But keep in mind that objections most often are simply requests for more information. And usually it takes 3 different objections before you get to the one that's the real one, right? But my favorite one is the husband one, because usually that's a smokescreen. So whatever objection, if they have an objection, then you're just going to counter that. So for instance, and not to counter, but to help explore, is this the real issue, or what other information, what other support you need to be able to make a decision. So some people might say, well, I don't have the money right now. And you say, well, that's awesome. That's okay. When you have the money and you decide it's for you, I'm totally here for you. But if you did have the money and money wasn't an object, how would you want to get started? Because then if they give you another objection, then it's probably not the money. It's probably that, maybe it's not for them. Make sure that you always give people an opportunity to tell you no. Otherwise, you're going to get a lot of phony objections. And that's it. And then your next step is to walk them through, get them plugged into the system. And we do have an amazing system. Sometimes it can be confusing for new people to navigate the system. And so just let them know that you're going to take them step by step. Don't give them too much. The presentation usually is enough information and you've just got them started. Make sure they know where to go so that they can get excited about the products. Just let them know that you'll be adding them to your coaching list, where you'll be sending them a few informational videos if they want that. If they're starting the business, make sure that your next step is to set up a time to do a 3-way call with whoever's in your upline. And that's really important because you want to plug them into a system. Not just you. You want them to know that there's always somebody else out there that they can reach out to. And they may well really identify with somebody else. Plus, you're going to have that third-party verification. They're going to be able to see that they're a part of something bigger. And it's going to create so much excitement. You can't be there all by yourself for a big team. But a team can be there for everybody, right? So it's really super duper important. If you haven't already, make sure that you introduce them to your upline. And that's really the next step. So you're going to offer, however they want to get started. You're going to get their paperwork done, and you're going to set a time to set them up with your upline. And then there's a process for that too. There's a welcome letter that you got when you signed up, and you're going to go through that letter, and you're going to customize that for your new team member. Or the customer letter as well. And if you don't know where those are, or if you lost yours, or whatever the case may be, they're in our JFire files. And if you can't find them, just holler at your upline. We'll be happy to make sure that you have those. But that's the basis of your table close and your group close. Don't be intimidated by a close. All you're doing is offering them away or showing them how they can get what they want. Don't let them hang. Quite often they need you to help, show them what to do. That's what your job is. So don't be afraid of the close. Go forth, and I wish all good things for you. Maybe we'll do a next session on objections. I love objections. So if you have questions, or if that's something you want to see, certainly let me know. I'd love to kick around some of those. Have a beautiful day. Bye, guys.